crying so much. I can't breathe through my nose anymore. As much as I would like to always showcase the best side of my life on social media, it's not possible. Nobody has a perfect life, and mine isn't perfect. And during the time that I decided to vlog 3 times a week for the month of February, there's been a lot of things that are happening in my life, and one of the major things happened just a few days ago. So I think I will be sharing this with you all, what I went through, what I'm going through right now, and maybe my story will be able to help somebody in the future as well. A couple days ago, my dog Ollie started not feeling well. It seemed like he was in some type of pain because he was trembling a little bit. Like his legs would tremble, and he would lie down and not have a lot of energy. He's never really had any serious issues in the past before, with the exception of the occasional upset stomach. So I thought that it was probably his upset stomach was bothering him, so I gave him a little bit of Pepto-Bismol. I ground it up into powder and fed it to him. And I did this during the day, and he started to feel a little bit better and more like himself. So I thought, okay, maybe this is what's happening. So I just figured maybe I'll just feed him something that's easier to digest and give him a little bit more Pepto-Bismol at the end of the day if he's still not feeling well. So lo and behold, at the end of the day, he started trembling again, so I knew that he wasn't feeling well. I fed him a little bit more Pepto-Bismol, and we called it a day. He was sleeping very well. But the next day, he woke up and he was very, very lethargic. He was just not himself. So I decided to call the vet, and I brought him into the vet for a checkup. The vet saw him and figured he must maybe have some type of digestive issue that's bothering him, or maybe he pulled a muscle on his back, so that's why his back is slightly hunched. So what was given to him, what was decided was the vet would give him a shot of painkillers and then a shot of muscle relaxant. So that's what we did, and he was prescribed 8 days of antibiotics, and we went home. And because he had the shot of painkillers and also the shot of muscle relaxants, he was stoned. My dog was very stoned. He was looking at me wide-eyed and just moving his head, turning to look at me super slowly. He was so high. And because of that, I couldn't tell that he was still not feeling well. And the thing is, he started to get his appetite back, and he was eating, and even the next day he was asking for food constantly. Every hour he wanted to eat something, and then when he wants to eat something, he would paw at his bowl, so I would know because I could hear it. He would just endless clawing at his bowl, and he always wanting to eat something, and he seemed to have his energy back. So I thought, okay, he's getting better. The vet visit was good, and maybe the painkillers took care of it. But then later that night, he started to cough after he ate dinner, and it was the type of like hack coughing that I've never heard before. He was coughing so hard. At one point, he spat out a little bit of pink mucus, and I looked at it and I freaked out and I thought, oh my gosh, is that blood? But then he started coughing again and nothing else came out. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not blood. Maybe that's just something that he ate and it was just like a pink color. So while I was in the shower, there's a white bath mat in my shower, or sorry, not in my shower, but in my bathroom, where he likes to sit and wait for me. So he was there and then still coughing. Then all of a sudden I looked down and he had coughed and spat out some blood. It wasn't a lot of blood, it was splatters, but I could see it so clearly because it was on the white floor mat. Naturally, I freaked out. So when he coughed up the little bit of pink mucus the first time around, I've already called the emergency hospital, the pet emergency hospital, and I was asking them, is there a need for me to bring him in, because it seemed like he coughed up blood, but I wasn't sure. And the receptionist was very responsive, and she right away put me on hold and went and asked a doctor. And they had decided that, you know what, since he is still asking for food and it doesn't look like he's just lethargic anymore, he's very active and stuff like that, so maybe it's nothing. So they asked me to monitor him for a little bit longer before rushing him to the hospital. And I thought, that's fair, maybe it's just something that he ate and it's bothering him a little bit. But when he spat out the dots of blood on the white floor mat, I was very distraught. I knew something was going on. I knew something was wrong, because that definitely was blood. It was clear as day. So without even thinking too much, I called the hospital back, and right away I said, my dog coughed up blood, I am bringing him in. At this point, it was already 1 a.m. Luckily, this hospital that I found on Google is close to my home, and it's 24 hours. So they're really responsive the first time that I called them. So I decided that's the place I'm bringing him. I've never brought him there before. And they admitted him right away. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I am not allowed to go inside the hospital. Only the pet that's sick is able to go inside. So we had like a handoff at the door where I brought Ollie to the door, and the nurse inside took him. And then I had to wait outside in my car in the parking lot. It was really, really cold that night, but I think I was too worried and freaked out to even feel the cold. It's like almost 2 in the morning. He coughed so hard that there was a little bit of blood that came out. While I was sitting inside my car, they had done an ultrasound on him and realized that there is something going on in his chest. So within that 20-25 minutes of me being in the parking lot, they had done this and decided that he needed to stay at the hospital. There is definitely something going on there. So they asked for my consent to do some blood work on him, x-rays, the works, and I said, yes, of course, please do that. So I had to go home. They're really good, this hospital. They're called Canada West, for anybody in Vancouver who's looking for a great vet emergency hospital. They were able to get the x-ray done within an hour of me leaving the hospital. And they called me back in the middle of the night. I told them they could do it, no problem. I definitely didn't sleep that night. But they called me within the hour to tell me the results of the x-ray. At first, they thought maybe it was going to be pneumonia or something like that. So after the x-ray, they found actually it was a lot more serious. So what Ollie has, he has had a lung lobe torsion. So I'm not a doctor, so I can't describe this very well, but basically one of his lung lobes twisted on itself. And I think what was happening was the blood was not able to get through, so all the blood was getting clogged there. The only way to solve this issue is by surgery to cut and remove that lung lobe. I didn't even, at that point, I was already crying like a mess. I didn't know what I was thinking, doing. It was in the middle of the night. I didn't even know what a lung lobe was. I had to search it up, Google it, and then I didn't even, they asked me, do you have any questions? Are you going to allow the surgeon to to do this. And I said, yes, of course, I trust in the doctors and the surgeons and the fact that you guys know what you're doing. Of course, I'm gonna consent to it, but I just needed, for my own peace of mind, I needed to search it up. So I looked it up. Apparently, humans and dogs are not quite the same. Humans have lung lobes too. We have 5 lung lobes in our lungs, 2 on the left side and 3 on the right side. Now, with dogs, they're slightly different. They actually have 7. They have 3 on the left side and 4 on the right side. And the lung lobe that was twisted in his body was on the right side in the middle lung lobe. And even if you remove that lung lobe, I've asked already and Googled this as well, it is fine. Dogs can survive after this. I believe humans can survive after this as well, because it's not a removal of all the lung lobes, it's just 1 out of 7 for him. So his breathing, his barking, his everything else is going to remain good and normal as long as he as long as the surgery goes well, the post-op for surgery goes well, and that he takes his time to recover, and I'm careful with him during the recovery period. So at this point, I already had a bad feeling in my gut that this is going to be a really, really costly thing, because stupid me, I did not have pet insurance. So for any pet owners out there, make sure you buy pet insurance. Ollie currently is still at the hospital. He's already had his surgery, and he has just finished his 24-hour critical care post-surgery stay at the hospital. And if everything goes smoothly, then he's able to come back tomorrow. So at this point, he's been there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He will be there for 4 days and 4 nights by the end of this. Currently, they are weaning him off IV painkillers and then putting him on oral painkillers so that he can come home with me and start recovery at home. This bill is quite large because of the hospital stays, the blood work, checkups, surgery, medication, all of that. This is now going to cost just under $10,000 Canadian. I am definitely getting him insurance after this. I can't believe this happened. It's one of those things where I think nobody would really think anything bad is really going to happen, and even if it does, we can take care of it. But seriously, get insurance, people. So anyways, I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are extra Asian today because they're just really poofy, and like I think this morning my eyes were like this, and I'm breaking out like crazy. My stress pimples are popping out like crazy. I haven't slept very well in the last few days, so this has been quite stressful. I think I cried a little bit too much. I do miss my dog a lot. He's so cute and just so innocent. He has no idea what's going on, and I think I was super, super emotional, especially about the part where because I wasn't able to go into the hospital with him, so I knew he was panicking. He didn't understand what was happening, like in the middle of the night, why I had to take him out of the house when he's not feeling well. And then when we got to the hospital, we were outside and I couldn't bring anything for him. They don't allow for any of personal items to be brought into the hospital. It's the pet only. So his carrying case, his blanket, and everything was still in the car. I had to take him on his own and hand him over to a stranger. And at that point, he was grabbing onto, he was clawing to get back to me. I think in his mind, he probably was like, maybe thinking I was giving him away when he started to feel bad and not... Obviously, people are gonna tell me that's a crazy thought because dogs probably don't think that way. But I think I treat my dog almost like as a human. He's my baby. And to watch him panic and try to get his way back to me, he had his paw and his claw in my scarf, and he just wouldn't let it go. So Ollie had his own doctor that was responsible for him, his own nurses that come, obviously they take shifts, but there's always a nurse and a doctor looking after him. And what's more is that they even offer Facetime services, Facetime or Zoom services for us too. So the nurse that was taking care of him, they would use the iPad that they have at the hospital and allow me to see my dog through Facetime. Of course, Ollie is not very experienced in technology. He's not that great, so he can hear me talk to him. So he's looking around trying to look for me, but he didn't know that I was just on the screen in front of him. Anyways, he's been recovering very well. He's been eating a lot. Of course, this was a big surgery. It was open chest surgery. It's very major. It's big. I'm still a little bit nervous, and I can't wait to hug my dog and to have him in my arms. I'm waiting for that day to happen, and if all goes well, then it's going to be tomorrow. This wraps up my vlog for today. Pet owners out there, make sure you get pet insurance.